Good morning, this is David Wendell with BushcraftOnFire, and we're enjoying just a beautiful day out here today. It's about 65 degrees, supposed to go up to about 72 before the rainstorms come in tonight. I want to talk to you today, because I've got a few minutes to do so, about cleaning your equipment. We have had comments and questions about how do we keep our equipment so nice. And as I said on a prior video, I think it's critical that we take good care of our equipment if we want our equipment to take care of us. So let me show you a few things that I do to care for my equipment and how we keep it in good repair. Now the first thing that I want to show you is my cook kit. And when I showed my cook kit, I guess people thought that it was really in great shape. But I'm going to show you a close-up to show that it is worn. Worn on the outside, worn on the inside. But there's a way that you can keep it in relatively good shape when you're cooking. Well, the first thing it would do is I've got some water here, and what I'm going to do for this demonstration is just to boil up some water to show you what we do. But I'm going to take a little bit of that water, I'm going to pour on my pan, and just get my pan a little bit wet on the outside. Now, you notice this pan has a lip on it. That's going to be important in just a second. I'm going to take a bar of soap. I normally carry a bar of soap with me. And I'm going to put that soap all over the outside of my pan. Okay, so I've got this all around here. And remember that lip up there? I don't want that on that lip. So what I've done, I got a little bit up there. We'll just wipe that off. Now my pan is ready to use. Just wipe out the inside here to make sure that there's nothing in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of water into this pan. And what I'm going to do for this demonstration is I'm going to go ahead and boil this water for a few moments and then clean the pan to show you how to keep it nice and clean so there's no problems with it. One of the things that any woodsman knows is that you don't cook on an open fire. Number one, you can't control the temperature so that you will burn your food or have unevenly cooked food. Second of all, cooking on coals will help keep your pots and your pans from getting very dirty. Now you may not carry bar soap with you. That's alright. You can carry a little bottle of liquid soap. You can put it on there the same way. Just let it dry for a few minutes before you put it on a real thin layer. Let it dry before you actually go put it on the fire. So we're going to put this on the fire, boil it up. And while it's boiling, we'll show you a few other things. As I said, what we want to do is we want to cook on the coals. So I'm just getting some coals here instead of an open fire. Knock some of my coals up into the center. And I'm going to go ahead and put the pan on there and show you what we'll do. I'm actually going to turn that handle around. Now if any flames come up, I want to get those flames out of there. I don't want those flames to actually get on the pot. And plus that will again burn my food. Now for boiling water, I generally would simply use my canteen cup or my my coffee tin, and that's what I'd boil in. I don't worry about those getting black, but suppose I wouldn't have to worry about this getting black either in a crisis situation. But I like to keep my equipment in good shape if I can, keep some mess off my pack and everything else. So you see I get a little flame here. I don't want that to happen. So I'll just bring that out, blow that out. Typically that'll happen once in a while. But we're going to let that water boil up and we'll be back with you. Let's talk about cordage next, because cordage is one of the things that's really hard to replace, as we found out in our Naked into the Wilderness videos. But if you look at this cordage, and this is typical, this cordage has been dragged around. You can probably see there's dirt, there's clay, some grime on it, different things. And I've cut this off. I don't normally do this, but this cordage is frayed on the end out here. Well, a couple things about cordage to keep it in good repair. Number one, don't leave these frays on here. Burn these off. You can just simply take your lighter, and if we can keep it lit in this wind, you can melt that end. You see how that melts right up. It'll literally catch fire. I let it burn for a couple seconds. Turn it around while it's drying, and remember that will be very hot, so you don't want to touch that right away. Although if you need to make a point on your cordage, you can actually form it with your fingers. It won't kill you. So we just do the end of the cordage like that. And when I get home, I'll just take a rag and I will just put around my cordage and I'll drag it back and forth a few times and clean the cordage up. Well, there's a little clay there, so that's going to be a little harder to get off, but normal dirt, just go through. It just takes a couple seconds, folks. Clean the cordage up, drag it through there a couple times, and then I'll just hang my cordage to dry for a little bit. But you can see the difference. Now our cordage is clean. We can go ahead, we can wrap it back up. Again, I'd let this dry first. Coil it so that we keep it in good repair and in good shape. The next thing I want to talk to you about is, if you noticed, and I left it specifically so I could do this video, in my toolkit I said that my blade had a little bit of rust on it from using the saw blade. What I can do with this, and I'm going to show you on a saw and a knife, is I can just take a piece of sandpaper, I can go over this, and it'll leave some black. You can see other places it's been done. And I can just sand this off, keep it in good repair, and after I do the knife I'll show you what I do at the end of it. Now this is just a piece of, what's this, about 100 grit aluminum oxide paper. Then I'll go back with a very, very fine grit and I'll kind of buff that out, take any scratches off of there so it looks decent. And I can go down these saw teeth, come over on this side, and you'll see that this aluminum oxide, that this fine paper will actually take some of that black off of there as well. Not all of it, but it'll take some of it off for you. And we just sand it out a little bit, go down the teeth on this side, and then we just wipe it off with the dry rag. I don't have a dry rag, so I'll just wipe it off on my pants. And when I'm finished, I'll go ahead and I'll put some oil on this. So that's how we go ahead and take care of the saw blade. Now we got this knife as a gift, and this is a high carbon steel Mora. You can see, same thing has happened to that knife. And again, we use our equipment, but we keep it in good shape. The way to do that is just to go ahead, take that sandpaper, and you can see, except for a little bit of black, that a lot of that junk is coming off. Now notice I do this with the edge away from me. I don't want to cut myself when I'm doing it. Turn it around, do the other side. And if you have a wheel, you can do a wheel. I just carry a piece of sandpaper with me in my kits, but you can use a wheel at home and you can really buff this out. In fact, a lot of knife makers actually use this process, going to a finer and finer paper. I'm not so worried about a few scratches on my knife. I want it to be functional. So I just do it like this. Sand that out. And I'll finish sanding it out. We'll come back to you and show it to you.